Alright, subchapter 3, general provisions, and we're in Title 30 U.S. Standard Code, Chapter 29, Oil, Gas, Royalty Management, from Title 30's Mineral Lands and Mining, Chapter 29, Oil, Gas, Royalty Management. Subchapter 3, General Provisions. 1751, Secretarial Authority. Prescription, Rules, and Regulations. Secretary shall prescribe rules, regulations as he deems reasonable and necessary to carry out this chapter. B. Conform the rule-making provision, rule, regulation, issue, and implement. Chapter shall be issued in conformity in Section 55.3, Title 5, notwithstanding 55.3A2 of this title. C. Contractors, non-federal government inspectors, auditors, the coordination of auditing and enforcement function. Addition and cooperative agreement delegation authority authorized under this chapter. Secretary may contract such for non-federal government inspectors, auditors, other personnel as he deems necessary to aid carrying out this function under this chapter. Implementation with respect to his auditing and enforcement functions under this chapter. Secretary shall coordinate such functions so to avoid the maximum extent practicable, subjecting leasers to operators, other persons to audit and investigation of the same subject matter by more than one auditing of this entity at the same time. 1752, Secretary shall submit Congress annual report. Implementation of the chapter. Information shall include report format. Report shall develop Secretary after consulting with the Committee of the Natural Resources of the House of Representatives and the Energy Natural Resources of the Senate, and Secretary shall also report the process of the Department in reconciling account base balances. Alright, 1753, relations to other laws, supplement nature of chapter, and penalties and authorities provided. 1753, relation to the other laws. A, supplement nature of chapter, penalties and other authorities provided in the chapter. Supplement. 2, and not derogation or any penalties authorized contained with the provisions of law. B, responsibility secretary related to minerals on federal Indian lands. Nothing in this chapter shall contribute to reduce the responsibility secretary ensure proper collection of revenues from coal, uranium, other energy, non-energy minerals, federal Indian lands, or to restrain secretary from entering into cooperative agreements or other appropriate arrangements with the states and the Indian tribes that share royalty management responsibility activities for such minerals under existing authority. C, authority responsibility inspector general, comptroller general, unaffected. Nothing in this chapter is contributed, enlarge, diminish, otherwise affect the authority or responsibility of the inspector general over the Department of Interior or the Comptroller General of the United States. D, lands and land interests in the Tennessee Valley Authority, unaffected. No provision chapter affects land interests and land entrusted to the Tennessee Valley Authority. 1754. Funding. Effective October 1st, 1983, they are hereby authorized to appropriate such sums necessary to carry out provisions of the chapter, including such sums may be necessary cooperative agreements, contracts, delegations authorized by this chapter. Provided nothing in this chapter shall be construed to affect and impair the authority to enter into contracts, make payments, or any other provisional law. 1755 statute of limitations. Except in the case of fraud, any action recovered penalties under this chapter shall be barred unless actions commence within 6 years after the day of the act, the mission which is based for action. 1756 expanded royalty obligation. The leaser is liable for royalty payments on oil and gas loss wasted from the lease site when such loss or waste is due to negligence or part of the operator of the lease or due to failure to comply with any rule, regulation, or situation issued under this chapter or any mineral leasing law. 1757 Servability. In addition, provision in chapter for the applicability thereof of any person, circumstance that is held invalid remainder of this chapter application. Such provisions or other person, circumstances shall be not affected thereby. 1758 Use of royalty in kind revenue by minerals management service. In the fiscal year 2006, thereafter, mineral management services may, under royalty in kind program, under this authority, transfer oil to the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, using portions of the revenue from royalty in kind sales without regard to fiscal year limitation to pay transportation and wholesale market centers to pay for transportation to wholesale market centers, upstream pooling points, process or otherwise dispose of royalty production taken in kind, recover mineral management services, transportation costs, salaries, and other administrative costs directly related to the royalty in kind program. Alright, 1759, fees and charges. In its fiscal year 2009, each fiscal year thereafter, fees and charges authorized in Section 9701, Title 31 may be collected only to the extent provided in accordance with the operations of this Act. Alright, that was Part 3 of Chapter 29, Oil, Gas Management, U.S. Standard Code Chapter 29, Title 30, Mineral Lands and Minings.